Okay, here we are starting week 8 of Engineering 6030, our final 4 chapters tonight. So chapter 27 is called Hiring Winners. The entire chapter is the hiring process for sales engineers. Chapter goals: complete a hiring profile based upon a job description, build a pre-interview worksheet, develop a strategy for interviewing and checking references, then make the hire. So the first step is really developing the job description, figuring out what you're looking for in a candidate for a sales engineering position. So in drafting the job description, a handy thing to do is make a matrix of requirements. And you think about the technical and the business abilities that you're looking for in the candidate. So are they selling a software product, a hardware product, a specialty manufacturing product? What kind of technical expertise would they need in order to represent that product? Also, what kind of business attributes are you looking for? A sales background, marketing background, or what kind of experience would you hope to see? And then in those areas, fill in the types of attributes that you want in the person, whether it's years of experience or technical skill level, or interests, or willingness to expand in other areas, or working ability to travel, willingness to travel. There's different things you can add based upon your needs. You can then use this hiring profile that you develop to look for candidates both internally and externally, using multiple ways of finding potential people. You can use references. You can use word of mouth that you're looking for someone, or advertisements. And now there's things like LinkedIn and other platforms where you can post jobs. One of our students who's graduating this semester just had an interview for a sales engineering position, an engineering sales position, actually, where the president of MECO contacted me and asked me, gave me basically a reference to another company, said they're looking for a sales engineer, and this is what they're looking for in the person. And so we had a student who's graduating this semester that really fit that description well. So I referred her for the interview, and she interviewed last week, and she's waiting to hear back. But it looks pretty good that she'll get this opportunity to start in this position right out of school. But you can also, look internally and see if there's anyone that wants to move up into a position. Maybe you're ready to promote someone that was in a different position, or is ready to take on more responsibilities of a sales engineer from a different department or different area, maybe a technician or a service engineer, or someone looking to get, having a change of pace with what they're doing. They might be already well qualified and well trained in several of the areas, and you just have to fill in some gaps they have in experience. And advertisements like monster.com and other job sites can be very handy way to attract potential applicants. You can also offer referral bonuses for employees and say, hey, if you recommend a quality person and we hire them and they stay on the job for so many months, then we'll give you a bonus of this many hundreds or thousands of dollars. So that's a very common practice, to bring in good people. They want their people to bring in good people, so they reward them for doing that. Outside of the internal bonuses, you can also deal with recruiters who are external to your company. So there are two main types of recruiters. The retained search recruiters, which you actually pay them to find and hire a quality candidate for you. So you give them a job description, and they sort of go through the process of screening, interviewing, and then bring the person to you and say, here's the person for your job. Then there's the freelance headhunters, which work on contingency. And these recruiters only get paid after they match a candidate with a job, where they will, suggest people for you to interview. And if you choose one of the people that they've suggested to you, then they get paid a portion. Typically, it's set up as a percentage of that person's first year salary. Now, it doesn't come from that person they hired, but if you hire someone for a $100,000 a year job, then the freelance cut would be like $20,000 for a bonus, like a 20% bonus, or 20% payment based upon the $100,000 job. And so these people often have much better hiring networks or as professionals set up networks to find high quality candidates and connect them with jobs and high quality jobs. So one thing that's really great as an engineer is you can leverage this to get signed up with a headhunter or a recruiter and be one of the people that they try to place in a job. So basically it's like getting an agent. You know, in Hollywood, you get an agent that gets you movie roles and TV roles and everything. You can do the same thing as an engineer and find a recruiter that will represent you and have your resume and have your information in their database and potentially match you with job opportunities. When you need to screen candidates, now that you have these opportunities in front of you to look at these different people, it is a big expense in time and money to bring everyone into your company. With travel expenses, you typically pay the travel expenses of the person coming. So you want to do as much virtually as possible. In fact, most interviews now seem to be done all virtually. But you can do an initial 10 to 15 minute pre-screening on the phone. And so this is prior to like bringing them in for the full interview process. You know, you can gauge things like their communication ability just in a 10, 15 minute phone call and see if you like what you hear, you like the, you know, the vibe that you get, you like the way they interact with you, and you think they'd represent your company well. And then you only bring in the top candidates from that short interview process. So if you have like, you know, 10 candidates, you spend, you know, a few hours running through those phone calls and then bring in the top 2 or 3 that you like from that phone call process. So in the interview itself, best practices for both the interviewer and the interviewee is to be prepared. You know, come into it fully prepared for what you need to do and what you hope to accomplish. From an interviewer side, if you're the person hiring, it helps to have some structure to it where you can lay out something like a 30, 90, 180-day plan that we talked about and said, if you were to be hired on, if we offer you this position and you accept, this would be what your job looks like for the first 6 months. We would go through this training and we would ramp you up as a sales engineer doing this, this, and this over 1, 3, and 6 months. So you know exactly what's expected of you, the workload, and what supports we have. So that answers a lot of questions right there about, you know, from the candidate about what the work experience would be like. For the candidate, the number one thing you can do is act like you care. Act like you're interested in the company and you want to be a part of it. If you're not showing much interest, if you're not showing much excitement, or you're not invested in the interview process, how invested will you be in the sales process? The question and answer session is where you really get to learn if you want this person as part of your organization. So determine if the candidate can do the job and if they fit into the organization. So one of the best ways to do this is, you know, through direct questioning, but you can also ask for references. And a really interesting way of asking for references is you can say, you know, as a question to them, tell me someone who would give a negative reference for you and why. So I'm sure you have lots of people that say positive things about you, but tell me about someone who doesn't like you for some reason, who you've worked with, and why they would give you a bad review. And that really starts to illuminate some, you know, aspects of their personality and, you know, why someone might or might not like them, you know, and some kind of, you know, whether they would cause any drama or any friction within a larger group. Another thing you can do is ask about a situational problem. So give me an example, tell me about or describe a recent sale. So talk about that if they have sales experience. So describe that sale process you went through. Or a hypothetical, like, where do you want to be in 5 years? What are your career goals? What is your biggest weakness? So asking questions that get at not only what they've done, but what they want to do. Because you want to have a clear picture of what are they capable of and where do they want to go with the job. If they're just looking for a temporary job before, you know, they eventually want to move to Alaska and like be a fisherman, you know, you don't want to hire someone and train them for 6 months only to have them get up and leave. So you want to make sure that they're interested in this for the long term, that if you hire them, you're getting a return on investment and you'll have them for a while. Another way, a really great way to judge a person's sales ability is to have them do a presentation and have them present in front of a group. So have them prepare a presentation on anything they want. It could be a presentation on baseball. It could be a presentation on a sales pitch for a product they worked with in the past. It could be a training presentation to train the group to do something. Just something that has them in front of people talking and explaining and interacting with a group. And you can really get a feel for how comfortable they are doing that and if they would be well suited to represent your company doing that. When you go to hire, if they don't have a skill that if they don't have a required skill, so let's say they're doing really great, but they're missing some things that you'd really like to see in an applicant. Well, you can always talk to them about their willingness to learn and say, well, in the past, have you taken on jobs that you weren't quite ready for or weren't quite qualified for, and how did you respond to that? Or what skills did you have to develop on your last job that you didn't come in with that helped you succeed in it? So there's questions you can ask that would help you fill in that knowledge. Do they have good persuasive skills? Can they convince people to do things? Do they have a positive attitude? Does the candidate put you at ease, and do they strike up a conversation easily with you? If they can do it with you, they can also do it with a customer. So once you get a yes from the candidate that they're interested in the position, so once you've described the position and you have a good feeling about them and you want to hire them, make sure you close the deal quickly, because if they're a good hire, they've likely got other opportunities and other options, and you want to make sure that you're not waiting too long, or you might lose out. And I've seen that happen before, where a hiring process was started and they were committed to interviewing so many people, and by the time they got through and decided the first person they saw was the one they want, that first person had accepted a job somewhere else. So you want to move quickly. If you know it's the person you want, make sure your process is quick with all the candidates, or if you see if someone's too good to pass up, make sure you lock them down. All right, so I'm going to stop it here so we can handle questions. So go for the online people, go to the discussion board and answer these questions.